The illegal wildlife trade alone is worth up to $23 billion a year, ranking it among the world's most profitable illicit trades, right alongside drugs and weapons. This hidden economy thrives in the shadows, built on exploitation and driven by demand for the forbidden. Criminal organizations run global networks, motivated by immense profits and little regard for the consequences. The black market isn't just a distant problem, its reach extends into our own communities through exotic pets, counterfeit goods, and rare artifacts. Every transaction in this underground world has a cost to our planet, our societies, and countless lives. The black market exploits weaknesses for profit, encompassing everything from endangered species to stolen data. Its business model is built on violence, corruption, and human suffering, a hidden price we all pay. The black market refers to any economic activity that takes place outside the boundaries of government oversight, meaning no taxes are paid, no regulations are followed, and there's no official record of what's being bought or sold. It's a hidden world, operating in the shadows, where transactions are intentionally kept secret to avoid detection by authorities. This secret marketplace deals in both illegal and legal goods, but what makes it black is the way these goods are traded, illicitly, without following the law. From narcotics and stolen electronics to untaxed cigarettes and counterfeit designer bags, almost anything can be found if you know where to look. The black market is fueled by basic supply and demand, but it especially thrives in places where law enforcement is weak, government restrictions are harsh, or people are struggling to survive. When official channels fail or become too expensive, people turn to the underground economy for what they need. Some of the most disturbing examples include the illegal sale of human organs, which preys on the desperate and vulnerable, and the widespread trade in counterfeit goods, which not only cheats consumers but also helps fund organized crime networks. The black market isn't a single place you can visit. Instead, it's a vast, ever-changing network of illegal transactions, sometimes happening in dark alleys, sometimes through encrypted messages and anonymous online marketplaces that are nearly impossible to trace. In countries facing sanctions or economic crises, black markets often become the only way for people to access essentials like food, medicine, or fuel. For many, it's not about profit, it's about survival in the face of scarcity. But every deal made in the shadows has consequences. The black market can fund violent cartels, drive endangered species closer to extinction, and rob governments of the revenue they need to provide public services. This shadow economy undermines legitimate businesses, encourages corruption at every level, and often relies on the exploitation of the most vulnerable members of society, including children and the poor. The impact of the black market is far-reaching. It's not a victimless crime. Families, communities, and entire economies can suffer from its effects, whether through increased crime, lost jobs, or reduced public services. In the end, the black market casts a long, dark shadow over society, touching lives in ways both seen and unseen, and reminding us that what happens in the shadows can affect us all. Trafficking is the engine of the black market, driving a shadow economy that spans continents and crosses every border. It moves illicit goods and people from their origins to consumers through intricate, often invisible global supply chains. These operations exploit the same infrastructure as legitimate trade, shipping lanes, airports, highways, making detection incredibly difficult. The sheer scale and sophistication of trafficking networks allow them to blend seamlessly into the flow of global commerce. At the start of these chains are the risk-takers, poachers hunting endangered animals, hackers breaching digital vaults, or kidnappers targeting the vulnerable. They operate on the front lines, risking arrest, violence, or even death, all for a tiny fraction of the final profits. Many are driven by poverty, desperation, or coercion, making them both perpetrators and victims of the system. Middlemen, smugglers, transporters, and corrupt officials form the backbone of trafficking. They move goods and people across borders using bribes, forged documents, and sophisticated concealment methods. These intermediaries are experts at exploiting loopholes in customs and law enforcement, constantly adapting their tactics to avoid detection. Once inside a destination country, local criminal networks take over. They distribute the products, whether drugs, weapons, or counterfeit goods, through street deals, underground markets, and online platforms. These networks are deeply embedded in communities, making them hard to root out. Human trafficking victims, meanwhile, are sold into forced labor, sexual exploitation, or domestic servitude. Many are trapped by debt, threats, or false promises, with little hope of escape. Their suffering is often hidden in plain sight, behind closed doors, or within legitimate-looking businesses. Each layer of the trafficking chain adds markups, turning cheap or stolen goods into high-priced contraband. Profits multiply as products change hands, fueling further corruption and violence. At the top, criminal masterminds orchestrate these operations from afar. They launder profits through shell companies and offshore accounts, investing in new schemes and adapting quickly to law enforcement tactics. Their reach extends into politics, business, and even law enforcement itself. These organizations are as structured and disciplined as legitimate corporations, with hierarchies, specialized roles, and strict codes of conduct. But their business is built on crime, exploitation, and secrecy. Their professionalism and adaptability make them incredibly hard to dismantle. Law enforcement agencies often find themselves outpaced, struggling to keep up with ever-changing tactics and technologies. Trafficking networks are resilient, constantly evolving to stay ahead of authorities. As soon as one route is shut down, another opens, ensuring the flow of illegal goods and people never truly stops. The black market's darkest corner is human trafficking, modern-day slavery where people are bought, sold, and exploited. This is not a crime of the past, but a thriving global industry that operates in the shadows of our modern world. Traffickers see people not as human beings, but as commodities to be traded for profit, stripping away their dignity and freedom. Nearly 50 million people live in modern slavery today, hidden in plain sight across the globe. They walk among us, on busy streets in bustling cities and quiet neighborhoods, often invisible to those around them. Their suffering is masked by the everyday rush of life, making it easy for society to look away. Traffickers prey on the vulnerable, luring victims with false promises of jobs or safety. They exploit desperation, poverty, and hope, targeting those who are searching for a better life. Sometimes it's a trusted friend or family member who betrays them, making escape even harder. Victims are forced into prostitution, labor, or even organ removal, often trapped by debt or threats. Many are moved across borders, stripped of identification and isolated from help. Their lives become a cycle of fear, violence, and exploitation, with little hope of rescue. The psychological and physical toll is immense. Survivors face trauma, violence, and isolation. Many struggle with anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress long after they escape. The scars, both visible and hidden, can last a lifetime, affecting their ability to trust and rebuild. Recovery is a long, difficult journey, with scars that last a lifetime. Healing requires support, understanding, and time, and even then, the road is never easy. Survivors need compassion and resources to reclaim their lives and sense of self. This crisis isn't limited to poor countries. It happens in wealthy nations too, in restaurants, farms, and homes. Exploitation hides behind closed doors and beneath the surface of everyday life, affecting people of all backgrounds and ages. Demand for cheap labor and commercial sex fuels this trade. As long as there is profit to be made, traffickers will continue to exploit the vulnerable, feeding a cycle of abuse that spans continents and cultures. Every trafficked person is a failure of our collective humanity. Their suffering is a reminder that our responsibility extends beyond our own lives, to protect the dignity and rights of others. The fight for basic human freedom is far from over. It demands awareness, action, and empathy from all of us, because ending human trafficking is a cause that belongs to everyone. The black market traffics in a shocking array of goods, wildlife, weapons, counterfeits, and cultural treasures. The illegal wildlife trade drives species like rhinos and elephants toward extinction, destabilizing entire ecosystems. Illicit arms trafficking fuels wars, empowers gangs, and spreads violence across borders and cities. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals and electronics endanger lives, with fake drugs and unsafe products causing real harm. Stolen cultural artifacts are smuggled and sold, erasing history and robbing nations of their heritage. Each of these trades is interconnected, often sharing roots in criminal networks. The black market's reach is vast, its impact devastating. Greed drives this endless catalog of crime. Every illegal transaction leaves a trail of destruction. The consequences ripple through nature, society, and culture. Black market trafficking is global, with networks adapting routes to evade law enforcement and meet demand. Cocaine moves from South America to North America, Europe, and Africa, via planes, boats, and ships. Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle produces synthetic drugs trafficked worldwide, funded by armed groups and corruption. Wildlife products travel from Africa to Asia, while rare animals are smuggled across continents to collectors. Human trafficking routes exploit economic disparities, moving victims from poor to wealthy regions. These supply chains cross multiple borders, using sophisticated concealment and coordination. Traffickers target the vulnerable, those facing poverty, conflict, or weak legal protections. The result, a global supply chain of misery and exploitation. The dangers of black market trafficking reach us all, fueling corruption, violence, and instability. Criminal organizations bribe officials, eroding trust and weakening institutions meant to protect us. Counterfeit drugs and illegal wildlife trade threaten public health, increasing the risk of deadly diseases and pandemics. Environmental crimes like illegal logging and fishing destroy habitats, worsen climate change, and harm local communities. The violence of trafficking spills into our streets: gang wars, illegal firearms, and fear. Short-term profits for criminals mean long-term losses for society and the planet. The black market is a cancer, spreading instability and decay. No one is immune to its effects. Its ripple effects threaten the very fabric of our world. The fight against black market trafficking is global, involving law enforcement governments, NGOs, and citizens. International agencies like Interpol coordinate cross-border efforts, while local police target distribution networks. Technology, data analytics, satellite imagery, digital forensics, helps track and disrupt criminal operations. NGOs support survivors, raise awareness, and pressure governments for action. Reducing demand is crucial. Public campaigns urge consumers to avoid illicit goods and report suspicious activity. Stricter laws target both traffickers and buyers, aiming to make trafficking unprofitable. It's a long battle, but essential for a safer, more just world. The black market thrives on secrecy, but awareness is our most powerful weapon. Understanding how trafficking works empowers us to make better choices and spot exploitation. Think before you buy, question the origins of products, and be alert to signs of trafficking. Report suspicious activity. Your vigilance could save lives. Sharing information and supporting frontline organizations disrupts traffickers' operations. Every conversation and informed decision helps shrink the shadows. The fight is ongoing. Staying informed is key. Subscribe for more investigations and updates. Be vigilant and stay safe.